This is Josh from JL Woodworking, and so this is going to be a video detailing showing more details of my fence that I made, and I was blown away by just how many views that I've seen, or looking at how many views are on my video of this, my first one that was less than 4 minutes long. I'm blown away by the number of views, close to 900 views as of right now. And that just blows me away. And thank you so much for everyone watching them and liking them and commenting. And so I wanted to show you more in depth of how I made it, what I used. So hopefully you like this video, and stick around and I'll show you how I made this. Alright, so this here is the main part of the fence. It is consisted of a bed post. This would be the vertical piece, and if you can see in here, these there's some pins in here, and these would be used for adjusting the rails and the height of the bed itself. And they were in the trash, and so I ended up using them. I'm fairly confident that this thing is going to stay true and not going to move, and there's not going to be any moisture exchange going on to cause it to warp or twist or anyway. If it does, you know, obviously then I'll replace this with something more stable, but I'm fairly confident that this piece of hardwood here is very dense, but I'm confident that it's going to stay true to the blade. And so again, if you're going to make one of these, I'm gonna give kind of a suggestion for making this for yourself. I would say overall for the fence and the rail itself, you could probably use a full sheet of plywood and make the whole thing. So going on to that, I would say that the best material to use for the fence and the rail down here, which I'll cover a little bit more in a couple minutes here, I would use either MDF or plywood, and you could probably use like 4 or 5 layers sandwiched together to make the fence. I would probably steer clear of making like a box style one with you know, supports going down, going across. I would steer clear from that. I would try and make it a solid piece, but I would definitely not use a pressure treated 4x4 like I used the first time. That was a huge mistake on my part, and got a quick lesson in wood movement and moisture content, and what happens to wood when it dries out, when the moisture leaves the wood. So I would definitely steer clear of a 4x4. If you can see here, I don't know if you can see it or not, but if you look on the end grain of most 4x4s, you're going to see probably the center of the tree, which is right here. And obviously the tighter, the closer to the center of the tree you get, the more wood movement and knots you're going to get. Basically, the less stable the piece of wood is going to be. So I would definitely steer clear of using a 4x4 solid piece of wood, unless it's, you know, higher quality quarter sawn or something. But again, so basically what I did was, this piece was the original. So let me put these side by side, and I've kind of messed around with this piece, but you can kind of get the comparison here. This was the original one that I had. This piece was screwed into this, and I had a piece on top that went across the top and screwed in to try and support it and give more, you know, lateral support. I don't know, I guess for moving side to side, shifting and twisting in there. So that was, the first one was an experiment, and so I learned what to do and what not to do. You know, I'm using this for something else, and I'm trying to get some use out of it. But going back to this piece is original. This just has 4 wood screws screwed into this, pre-drilled and screwed. This knob and threaded rod is just threaded into the wood itself. This is just a basic 2x4. Doesn't really matter as long as it's screwed in and secured to the fence. You know, this piece again, this guide rail thing, L bracket piece here, is a solid piece cut from another post, bed rail post or bed post. And this angle iron on here was something that I just had left over from the original bracket, mounting bracket or rail from the original fence. And so I decided to use a piece of that to further strengthen this up so it wouldn't bend or break or whatever, crack. That part is optional, I think, but again, for the material for one of these, all this could be made out of, I would think, a full sheet of plywood. You know, you have to do the calculations yourself. And then if you have a scrap 2x4 here, this could be used for this. And you know, I think a knob like this can be picked up anywhere, or you can make your own. Really, doesn't have to be a plastic one like this. You could easily cut a piece of wood and screw it onto this and secure it that way. But certainly you could don't have to use one of these. It's just what I had. Let me flip this over and let me show you the underside of this. You see here, first step that I did was I cut these pieces. Actually, let's go back to this part here first. This is 3 blocks of wood, just as long as they fit the nuts inside. So you can turn this, and as you turn it, the nuts are pushing against this piece here, and press it up against the rail to hold it in place. And as you're turning the knob, as I'm turning the knob, these blocks of wood don't turn, and that was kind of important. You know, because if these pieces were solid or glued onto this threaded rod, when you turn this thing, you know, I thought of different ways. I thought of using a round, using a washer, or just, you know, if you have the threaded rod just pushing up against the fence, it's going to dig into the side of the fence, and your fence is going to move. When you turn this knob, the fence is going to want to move. It's not going to stay in place. So this works out really good. But this piece here is I got a lag screw going in, and I secured that. I snugged it down, and then I flipped it over and adjusted it for square, and put these other screws in here. And these are pocket hole screws because I like the design of those. You know, and this lag screw goes through a hole in the angle iron here. And once I got it all square, once I got these 2 screws, actually I've started the screws and got them almost tightened down all the way. I turned it over and checked it again because I wanted to make sure that everything was square before I secured it down. These extra holes here were already there in the piece of wood, so these aren't like test holes or anything. But I think a solid sheet of plywood, really, you could use this. For this piece here, I'm not sure how you would use it. You could probably get away with a couple 2x4s. I wouldn't use plywood for these parts because these are 3/4 of an inch thick. So in this case, I would use a 2x4, a couple 2x4s screwed together or glued together, and then you can cut your notch out and make your L piece here. That would certainly work, I think. If I were going to do it over, that's what I would probably do instead of using plywood for this part here. So that's the basics of that. This piece here gives it further strength. This whole part here gives it extra strength from moving. When you push up against it, it stays in place. Doesn't give at all. Alright, so moving on to the fence and rail here. This rail, this bracket here is made from a pressure treated 4x4 that I just cut, that I notched out, and it's bolted to my table in the factory holes. And this here is made from a solid core door. You know, solid core doors have a solid wood on the outside, about an inch probably an inch strip of wood, hardwood going down here, and then the rest is filled with like particle board, chipboard, whatever you want to call it. Pretty stable stuff and pretty heavy. Found 2 of those in the trash, and so I decided to use it. But this is, I ripped a piece down 2 inches wide, and however thick it is, I think it's like 1 3/4 thick, and lined the outside here, both sides with 1/4 inch pieces of oak. You know, gives it extra stability and keeps it smooth and all that, and protects it. And this is all this is a 1 foot adjustable slide combination square that I just took this and taped it to that to use, and it works pretty good. And you know, for this section you could use plywood. You could, for the rail itself, you could use plywood and just line it with some hardwood, depending on how you cut it. If you have the grain facing up, mine just so happens this part, my bottom part of my fence, or where it rides, it doesn't actually touch the rail. My fence rides on the table. It doesn't actually rest up against this, and obviously it clears this ruler, so and it doesn't bottom out. This part does not bottom out into this either. So it just so happens that it rides really smoothly on my table, so I don't have to worry about it riding on this. But you could definitely use plywood for this. It's going to stay stable. You don't want a piece of solid wood for this, because it's less. It's going to be less stable. All right, that's some of the basics of how I made my table saw and fence, and hopefully you're inspired and encouraged by something that you saw in this video, and hopefully it will remove some of the fear and doubt. The only thing that limits you is yourself. You know, you certainly want to be careful, and I definitely want to say that you should be careful with a table saw, because it really, in my opinion, is one of the most dangerous power tools that a person can use in their shop. And so you definitely want to be careful, but as long as you're confident in your ability to make something parallel or square and adjusting something, you know, as long as your main fence is flat and straight, and it's not going to move when you're cutting a piece of wood, and you're able to secure it down, it's going to be safe. I'm confident that mine is safe. It's not going to go anywhere when I'm cutting a piece of wood, and I've used it dozens of times already, and I love how it works. And in my opinion, I will build one of these again before I buy a brand new fence for it. I'm that confident that I could build it again and again and again, and it would still be just as good or better. Hopefully, if I build another one, it will be just as good. Would I make one for someone else to use on their saw? Probably not, because there's a liability issue there, and I don't want to be liable if something breaks in it, because, you know, inevitably something will probably end up wearing down or breaking, because that's the nature of things. But I can always fix it, and I constructed it, and I'm using it, and I'm aware of when it's not working right or when something's not working right. So I'm able to correct the problem. So if something were to go wrong with my fence and rail, I would certainly be more comfortable fixing this thing than I would fixing one that I bought brand new, like a Biesmeyer. If I bought one of those and something broke on it, I would feel less confident, I think, of trying to fix it, because I don't know how it's constructed, and it's so. Anyways, all that to say, don't be scared to try new things. Challenge yourself when you're in your woodworking. I'm certainly not an expert, but I'm confident in my ability to build a square, or to build a fence and rail, and I'm very happy with the outcome of this. And I expect to get many years of use out of this, and when this one breaks or wears out, I'll be just as confident to make another one. So hopefully, if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up, comment down below of what you think I could have improved upon, maybe, because I'm certainly not an expert by any means. I know there's things I could have improved, and maybe you saw something in this video that scares you. I'm not scared of using this fence, but you know, take my ideas, use them, copy them, make them your own. Make your own fence, and I'd love to see someone's your own designs and your own pictures. Send me some pictures. I'd love to see what you guys come up with for your own designs. So that's about it. So hopefully you take care, and hopefully you stay safe in your shop. I'll see you in the next video.